You're watching TVC Breakfast. An initiative for young African leaders is seeking more collaboration between Nigerian youths and the nation's leadership in order to change the political and economic narratives in the country.
It believes that Africa as a continent continues to be relegated despite the strength of its youth and their numbers. Helen Asamedi-Akins reports.
The United Nations Economic Commission 2015 report puts Africa with the largest youth group across the world, with over 200 million people aged between 15 to 24, accounting for 19% of the global youth population. It is projected that by 2030, the number of youth in Africa will have increased by 42%. Despite these numbers, investment in the socio-economic empowerment and the participation of young people in decision-making process on the continent is limited.
In developed countries, today we have youth emerging as presidents. One typical example is France, and I think it's right time, the youth actually stand up, taking part in decision makings and policy makings in the country.
It was not always this way with past Nigerian leaders, often getting the chance to rule when they were very young. This group says it is here to change the narrative by bringing other youth together to chart a course.
It's not just enough to vote and stay back. You should be interested in what goes on from your community to your state to the federal government. You should be able to ask some questions. You should be able to play your own role in engaging your lawmakers without resorting to violence or any of the vices.
Different walks of life, different sections that are coming to educate us and talk to us about how youths could be included for the paradigm shifts that we are hoping to achieve at the end of the summit.
One of the questions any gathering must try to answer is how soon will Nigerian youth be ready to take prime position at the helm of the country's affairs. Helen Asamedi-Akins, TVC News, Abuja.
I have in the studio good governance campaigner Ogbanagu Ibrahim. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning, ma'am.
Now, the question most on the lips of many is, despite the fact that the president gave a nod to the not too young to run, is a question of, are Nigerian youths really ready to take up leadership positions? Because they've seen certain displays, and questions are on the lips of many is, are Nigerians, youth, ready? So I'm throwing that question to you.
For me, I think the youths are ready. Some of the youth.
Some?
Yes, if I may be sincere, some of the youth are ready.
When you say some, how would you categorize them?
Yes.
Who are those that fall into some, and what makes you feel that this some? What are the traits that you find in this some?
Those who are ready.
Yes.
To take the position of authority, which I fell under. This past general election, I contested.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes, to the Federal House of Representatives in Kogi State.
Okay. What was the experience like?
It was awesome. Which the same people you are ready to go and represent are the people who will say no to you. The same youth that we are talking about now are the same people who tomorrow they will now turn to you and said, how much do you have?
So you didn't get their support?
No, I didn't.
Why did you try to find out?
Because I intend to represent about 3 local governments.
Yes.
Which is Sankpa, Olamaboro, and Omalafera constituency, comprises of about 34 wards. And I campaigned round these 4 wards. I met both the young, the youth, and women. But while meeting them, first of all, as you are meeting the elderly men, what you hear from them is different from what you are hearing from the youth. The same people you are saying that all of you on social media or wherever you'll be hearing we are suffering, youths are being marginalized. Then among the youth, someone has said, let us do it this way, which I did, but they never supported. Meeting them, my campaign, after all the rhetorics, after whatever, at the end of the time, they'll turn to you and said, Oga, how much do you have? Maybe from the contributions, from people, you were able to give them 10,000 naira or 5,000 naira.
So the issue is about what the major challenge is, the fact that they were looking at your war chest.
Yes, what you have.
What you have
Yes,
to offer.
to offer.
And it is not about, so what does that imply?
Not what you have to offer, but what you have
to give them at the time.
As in a physical cash.
Yes. So what does that imply for our future when we say that the future or the children are the leaders of tomorrow, and what does that imply for our vision of having a change in leadership?
Is the youths are the leaders of tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Is by words and not in practical. It's what I was at the middle of it, and I saw it all, what happened.
So what do you think would take to change the mindset of youths to really understand that this thing belongs to them?
And that's why I keep on hammering on enlightenment, especially this is it National Orientation Agency?
Yes.
They are not working. They are not doing their job. And I expect them that the National Orientation Agency should have their branches across the 774 local governments in Nigeria. Not just branches, their arms across this world, so they will be enlightening our youth on what to do, and not to continue marginalizing themselves and now be saying that it's the leaders that are marginalizing them. It is not the leaders. It is we, the youth, that are marginalizing ourselves.
No. So you think that enlightenment alone will solve this problem?
Yeah, I think it will solve the problem to some extent. Because, you know, when someone is in the dark, and you, by enlightenment, telling him or her that this place you are is very dangerous to you or whatever, it will help to some extent.
When it comes to the issue of youth getting involved in politics and getting involved in leadership, there's always that aspiration. But some of the youths that we have had in places right now, or maybe in the very recent past, have not really impressed in the minds of so many Nigerians.
Yes, I think youth in governance, that's what some of us have been clamoring for over the years. It's very, very important. Considering what has been happening over the years, you know, like General, what is he called? Yakubu Gowon, I think it was in his 27 years. Even our current president now was young when he was a military head of state.
In fact, we remember the early generals, they were all quite young people.
Exactly.
In their 30s and maximum 40s.
Coming to what is happening today, you see that the youth are being marginalized.
Yeah, but in true terms, do you think it's about the age of anybody?
No, it's not about the years.
Because even the youth that were tested have not really proven themselves.
Yes, it depends on individual.
Okay.
You get it now. It depends on individual.
Yeah, maybe, but is there any youth that you can point to say, okay, fine, this one impressed us? Has there been anyone in the country so far you can point to?
Seeing what has been going on,
exactly.
You know, you know, this is a tough question, to be sincere, you know. But you cannot take that from, you can't say this all the youths in the country.
No, it certainly cannot be all the youth. Yes. But let's talk about the issue of collaborations now. Yes. We see that a lot of youths, because they are very energetic and they have varying opinions, exactly. It is difficult to bring them together, to harness all of these ideas together. Why do you think, isn't that where we should start from?
While you are not seeing youths who are competent in governance, it still bounds on the leadership in the country. The elderly men.
Why is that?
The elderly men.
Okay.
Most of these youth you are seeing that are not useful in governance, we are there through the same people you have been saying they should not be there again. So while going, they will now bring someone who will come and replace them that will be answerable to them.
Yeah, but we still have a lot of youth who, you were in politics.
Oh, yes.
You contested.
Oh, yes.
Are you one of those who was picked by the elders to say, come and contest?
No.
Very good. But we have a greater number of people like you who are not anointed by anybody. So the collaboration between the likes of your kind, shouldn't that be where you can take it from?
Among those who are there today, there is nobody, which I know all of them, there is none of them you tell me that We are not being handpicked by someone, which I know them.
Why do you think so?
We are talking a senator, is it Senator Ishaya, you know?
From which state?
From Adamawa State.
Okay.
The one that we are alleged to have slapped
Senator
a lady,
Elisha.
yes, recently, you know. He was handpicked by some elders from the state. I know a guy from Benue.
You have the evidence in that?
You know, I know a guy from Benue State
Okay.
who won an election under the same Labour Party which I contested. Was also handpicked by a leader from another political party because he was deprived.
But in true terms, is there anything wrong in supporting a candidate to win elections in the true sense of it?
No, there is nothing wrong in it if it means in its true sincerity. You get it now. As if you are supporting me, at least in return, you should not expect anything from me financially. What you should be expecting from me should be leadership, right. How I am going to deliver.
What is the way forward now? Where we are already where we are,
exactly.
And we already have the challenges we are now. So moving ahead now, what do you think youth can do? Like yourself and a lot of other people, and I know you are still interested in going in shooting your shot in the next election.
What we want now is to come together with the youth, the like-minded youth, not just all the youth, but the like-minded ones. We should come together and re-strategize.
Are you preparing to call a meeting of youths like that?
Already I'm into it.
Okay.
Yes, I'm a member of several civil society organizations, which we are already working across the globe to see how we harness these God-given talents with the like minds now that we are talking about, to see how we come 2023, to see how we come together and rescue power from this.
All right.
When it comes to the issues of leadership, like the report rightly noted, it wasn't always this way. Where do we begin if we say we want to change the narrative?
I think changing the narrative should still start from the enlightenment that I said earlier, from the youth. Because youths are the fulcrum of any development in the society. So we must start from the youth and see how we change the narrative within the youth.
All right.
Okay. Because when you say that the enlightenment, I wonder who is going to do the enlightenment of the youth, whether they're going to enlighten themselves or they're going to enlighten their peers or they'll wait for the older generation to enlighten them. But however, we'll come back to that. Nee, let me bring this to you now. A lot of people, we've heard a lot of persons say that to be a good leader, you must be a good follower. If you have to put it in that perspective, looking at it from that window and seeing what the Nigerian youth is, would you say the ones who have been leaders amongst the youths have been good followers in the real sense of it?
All right. Before you can assess someone as a good leader or as a good follower, first is that you have to do capacity assessment. And the only time you will know whether they are good or they are not is when you have given them responsibility and they have failed. And if I have to assess Nigerian youth, if you look at Nigeria as a country, we have it best as a country between 1976 and possibly 1983. And if you look at the crop of leaders we have in Nigeria between those periods, they are between their 30s and 40s, which means if you give youth, competent youth, opportunities to be in position of authorities to run things, there is tendency of having a better society. And if you look at the way society evolved, one of my philosophers says, at the age of 40, what most people look for is what they call maintenance ration. What it means is that, how do I survive? But at below 40, what people normally do is, I want to ensure that I get there, I put my name on the marbles. So what you find out is that is why most times it is always the best to put you, because anybody 45, 50 down, what they are going to do is they are collecting their retirement benefit. And that's why you find out that most political leaders in Africa, once they clean those positions, they remain in power perpetually. So to be a good leader, to be a good follower, is until you assess people. And we have tried it over time, and we've discovered that, look at NPower, for example, in Nigeria. The crop of guys powering that scheme are youth. So which means youth can get it done. And if you look at, let's take, for example, some of our states, where you have youthful governors. You find out some of them that they are a bit exorbitant or what have you. But when it comes to innovation, because they know there are a lot at stake, they tend to be more innovative as compared to those that are naturally, I call them, collecting their retirement benefits.
But then the question of, like the report said, that it didn't used to be like this initially. One wonder what changed.
If you look at it very well, one of the things that has changed in our system is history. You find out that while growing up, you learn about by people like Nkrumah, like Awolowo, like those in Tanzania and what have you, and what they do at their youthful age. Even Mandela, you discover that you learn from them, you read about them, and you look at how they use their youthful, productive youthful age. Well, you find out that in this society whereby you wipe out history, and when mentorship is relegated to the bottom, you discover that the crop of leaders you begin to have will be a resemblance of the current crop of leaders you have. So what we have lacking now is that first we have erased history in Nigeria or in Africa generally, and again the crop of leaders we have now are adults who are naturally collecting what I call retirement benefits.
All right. Ibrahim, let me come to you on this. The point there is we often find youths, at the time frame he was talking about, youths of the 70s, youths of the 60s, and all of that became our leaders at the time, most of them were ideological. They believed in one ideology. Either they leaned towards Marxist or even Machiavellian or all of those philosophers and so on. But now youths just want to use their energy. You ask them about some of these things, some of them have never read about some of those, philosophers and all of that. So when it comes to the idea of how to put these things together, sometimes some of them don't have what it takes.
Exactly, and it bounces still back to the mentorship. Those you just mentioned, like our former head of states that were there in the past, at their useful age. It depends on who mentored them. You get it now. Like my own mentor, Mr. Charles Akoye was a local government chairman, caretaker in the local government, but never steal a penny. He had no car as a local government chairman. And when he retired or leave office, people were mocking him that why as a local government chairman you have nothing. This is from the person I learned from. It's not about having or looting, should I use that word, or what belongs to the people. It's about what you have for the people. It's about what you can deliver. It's about if this is a road, and the money voted to construct this road is 20 million naira. Let's use that example.
All right.
It's for you to use that 20 million naira to build that road, and not to use 5 million naira and pocket 15 million.
Okay, Ogbanago Ibrahim, we have to leave it at this point. Thank you for your time on TVC Breakfast.
Thank you very much.
And Obani Yekinwale, thank you very much for coming as well.
Pleasure.
Right.